afternoon, my conscious co-creators. Welcome to another edition of the Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity. I am very, very pleased that you are here with me today. We have a wonderful show in store for you with an amazing guest. First, just a couple of quick announcements. I just want to remind everybody that this is our last Monday live show, and that starting next week on March 10th, the Conscious Consultant Hour will now be heard on Thursdays at 12 noon instead of Mondays at 12 noon. So I hope you all will continue to listen to me live, just switching days from Mondays to Thursdays. I know you're going to miss me on Mondays. You love starting off your week with me, but, schedules change. Some things are changing here at Talking Alternative and Double Diamond Wellness Center, so we need to move the shows. So let's get going. Let's start off with our quotes from the universe and from Abraham. Let's see what the universe and Abraham have in store for us today. First, from the universe. Nothing's been lost. You've still totally got it. It's just that you enrolled in the double advanced super thriller program at the same time as the Can't Touch This Life Mastery class. Naturally, then, since you aren't permitted to remember such choices midlife, you're a bit startled to see the bar continually being raised on you, even after all you've done. Rebel, the universe. We love our quotes from Mike Dooley in the universe. And this is kind of a, I guess, a playful quote from the universe trying to remind us that, although it seems at times like there more challenges are coming to us, things are a little bit more difficult. Sometimes we get tired just from like, I've been doing so much work, so much this, that. Why are things so tough? That we forget that like really we're the ones creating this, and we just forget. And that we've signed on to this life, and we've signed on to the challenges, and that the universe does not bring us anything that we cannot handle. And that even though at times it feels tiring, it feels exhausting, it feels like, oh my God, is there ever an end to working on myself? Nah, don't worry about it. You got this handled. You've already had it handled. You're doing just great. You just have to remember that, this is what the life that you've signed on for, the challenges that you're experiencing are the exact challenges for you. And let's see what Abraham has in store for us today. From Abraham. You create your own reality. And today we want to say that in the clearest way yet, you create the vibrational atmosphere which equals your vibrational point of attraction. And then the law of attraction matches you with things like you. Abraham. Now, this is a quote from Abraham that really goes to the heart of this whole idea of law of attraction, and how, as Abraham loves to say, like attracts like. But you see, it's not just about, what we say or what we think. It's about the energy that we give off. It's about this internal, emotional, energetic quality that we exude day to day about just who we are. And, sometimes we think, if I just keep thinking positive, happy thoughts, that great things are going to happen to me. Well, yeah, that's kind of part of the equation, but it's more than just that. It's more than just what we think. It's about what we believe and how we feel about ourselves. Because we may be saying over and over again, I deserve an abundant life. I deserve an abundant life. I deserve an abundant life. But if underneath you feel like, I'm so unabundant. I'm so poor. Bad things always happen to me. Why is this stuff always happen to me? I just don't feel good in my own body. Then it's like there's this resistance inside our energetic field that kind of keeps us from really receiving the abundance that's out there. So it's not just about the thoughts that we think. It really also has to do with what we believe about ourselves and how we feel about ourselves. And if you've been like focusing on all the right things, you've been really positive, and there's obscene challenges in your life, maybe you need to look at, what have you been doing in terms of self-care? What have you been doing to show the universe how you feel about yourself? What have you been doing to accept yourself for who and what you are, exactly the way you are? And that maybe what you need to do is to show the universe, hey, look, I'm taking better care of myself. Look at all these things I'm doing to take better care of myself. So then the universe goes, oh, look at this person. They're really taking good care of themselves. Okay, I guess I should take better care of this person too. They really believe they deserve to be taken care of, so I'll take care of them as well. And it's through our self-acceptance, self-care, and self-belief that then our thoughts have so much power, that then our guided focus on the things we want, it's the grease in the wheels. It makes everything flow so much more smoothly and so much better and so much more gracefully. It doesn't mean there's not work to do. It doesn't mean like, you just sit back and everything's going to be hunky-dory. No, there's still some effort involved with it. It's just, it becomes a very supportive, uplifting effort, and it's not a stressful effort that really pulls you down. So these are two great quotes from the universe and from Abraham today. And of course, they're always so apropos to the guest that I have. And today it is my extreme honor to welcome Wei Houng to the Conscious Consultant Hour. Wei is an award-winning money anxiety breakthrough coach, a trainer, author, and speaker, and founding member of the Six Figure Academy. He has spoken to and inspired thousands of entrepreneurs to break through their internal mental and emotional blocks so they can create a lifestyle of prosperity and abundance without burning out. He has spent the better part of the last 2 decades refining his system through a combination of neurolinguistics, energetics, and mental and emotional release therapy, both as a trainer and a practitioner. Having over 20 years of experience in speaking to groups around the world, he has run seminars in areas of personal and business development such as the art of selling without selling, speaking with purpose and intent, Motivation 3.0, The Trap of Personal Empowerment, From Money Anxiety to Six-Figure Mastery, and Fast Track Revenue. Wei believes that entrepreneurs are the problem solvers of the world and has now made it his life's mission to empower as many entrepreneurs as possible so that they can be instrumental in shaping the world we live in for the better. Wei, it is such a pleasure to have you on the Conscious Consultant Hour today. I really welcome you, and let's just get started. So, Wei, one of the things that I really, really like about you is that, you didn't start off coming from a real background where like money just came to you easily and that things just flow to you naturally, that you really had your own challenges, and that, becoming a money anxiety breakthrough coach, it was really through your own efforts to help yourself to deal with your own anxieties, to deal with your own money issues, that you were able to really come up with something and create something that you found could really help other people.
Yeah, the shift was so profound that, we talk about the universe. The universe literally screamed out at me. It says, if you don't take what you went through and create value out of it, what a pity. Because,
right.
A lot of people, they go through their life and they encounter challenges and cathartic events, and then they spend the rest of their lives just kind of miring in that energy without realizing that every event that the universe presents us, excuse me, is an opportunity for us to not only draw lessons or learning for it, but then have the opportunity to turn around and do what is the greater, there's no greater purpose than service to others, to serve that same knowledge restructured and evolved from your being into the rest of to your audience and to anybody else you could potentially serve.
Right, absolutely. And it's something that kind of came to me not all that long ago, that, the very things that we struggle with the most, those very like sides of ourselves that we have a tendency to run away from and try and fix and try and like, oh my God, I have to do something about this. Like those very sides of ourselves are, in fact, our greatest gifts. And that by really getting to understand, like we have those challenges for us to deal with, because that is what makes us relatable to other people. And it may not be that we can relate to everyone in the world, but like there is that tribe, there is that certain group of people who have that exact same issue, that exact same challenge in their lives, and that's what makes us human, and what makes us relatable. And when we find the way to accept it and deal with it and work through it and find the beauty in it, that then when we share that to other people, it becomes such a wonderful thing for them.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's take our first commercial break. And when we come back, let's really talk about what you really learned about money through your own challenges and, what the audience can take from that. Okay, Wei?
Sounds good.
All right, wonderful. So everybody, please stay tuned. You're listening to the Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, and we'll be right back.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
Hello, I'm JC.
I'm Joan. And welcome to 21st Century Entrepreneur.
We bring education,
insight,
knowledge,
awareness,
trouble,
craziness, and fun
for you, the entrepreneur who's looking to build your business
and your community. Listen every Friday from noon to 1 Eastern on talkradio.nyc. And you can tweet us at 21st CE Radio or Talk Alternative.
Talking Alternative Radio, 24 hours a day.
And welcome back to the Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity. This hour we're talking with Wei Houng. He is the Money Anxiety Breakthrough Coach. So, Wei, as we talked in the last segment, you had your own challenges around money and scarcity and abundance and all these issues. How did you find to transform those issues in your own life?
That's a good question, because quite frankly, I didn't know that my problem was the anxiety piece on my relationship with money. I always thought I wasn't smart enough, I didn't know enough, I didn't work, I haven't worked long enough, and it was frustrating. It got to a point where I was wondering, why do I keep encountering the same issues? It didn't matter what job I had, what industry I went to, what business I created. This yo-yo effect of money making was a big problem, and that's when I connected with a variety of different teachers, mentors, and ultimately coaches. It was then that when we dug deeper, we realized it had nothing to do with how smart I was, and nothing to do with how hardworking I was. It really had to do with my energy, my relationship around money, and more importantly, the fact that, and embracing the fact that I actually had anxiety around money.
Right. Yeah, a lot of people think that, in order to be abundant, you just have to work really, really hard. But the evidence is really counter to that, right? Because there are lots of people out there who've been working hard their whole life and they barely have enough money to get by. And some people think, well, it's all about being smart enough. But there are lots of people out there who have PhDs who are driving cabs. It's not about your, right? It's true. It's not about how smart you are. It's not about how hard you work. It's about this energy we carry around with us of our relationship to money and abundance.
Yeah, I love that you brought that to light, because that was one of my dichotomies growing up. It says, okay, I got to work harder. No, I got to work smarter. No, I got to work harder. I became almost schizophrenic after a while, because the way it's been taught traditionally is that it's either one or the other.
Right.
And what we've been doing at the Six Figure Academy is we've actually been combining the two. It's that if you're going to work hard anyway, why don't you work hard smart? And put it in a laser direction so that you get to where you want to go quicker. And so I developed this mantra almost. It's like, if you're going to work hard and you work smart and you blend those together, you work hard. But unless you're from the 80s and you know the show of Heart to Heart, heart doesn't really mean anything, H-A-R-T. So what then is the X factor? What then is the unique differentiator that will make that shift? And that's the infusion of energy. So the E then drops right into between the H and the A, and what you're talking about is you're working from the heart. You're working from the heart that drives you, so you don't notice that you're working hard. You work brilliantly because you're coming from your soul, from inside you. Then with that combination creates this slipstream that allows you to get to success that much quicker and that much more gracefully and easily.
Right. Because it's we have a tendency to think that, like, it's things aren't working right. I'm not doing the right things. I'm not practicing the right practices and stuff. But really, it comes down to, what is the energy behind the things that we're doing?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's, too many people focus on the physical body of success, so to speak.
Right.
When we talk about, I want to make six figures in my bank account, okay, what you have to also look at is, where are you congruently aligned with your bank account? There are four main bodies of our being, which is our energetic, our mental, our emotional, and our physical being. And when all those four are aligned for whatever it is that you want to achieve financially, that's when it becomes gracefully easy. That's when it stops becoming a grind, because you're not fighting against yourself, the incongruency of self, with what it is that you're looking to achieve.
Right. Exactly. Well, why do you think that there is such this dichotomy between really what people want and what they're able to achieve? Like, why is there so much of this stress over it, and why we keep pounding our head against the wall instead of really, as you say, kind of sliding into the stream? Yeah.
Excuse me. I think one of the challenges is just strictly evolution. I mean, throughout history, we look at the most prosperous and abundant people, but we hold them in such high regard that we think that it's such a unique path that they've walked. But they just found their own slipstream.
Right.
I learned at a recent event that it doesn't really even matter what it is that you do for a living. It's more about understanding that what you're here to do, the value, your unique value that you have in this world, in this lifetime, in this body, is really what you need to calibrate on. Your client, for example, I've had clients in 3 different industries on 3 completely different industries, and they followed me from one industry to another. And the thing is, when a person is meant to be a client and you're meant to serve them in this lifetime, it doesn't matter what it is that you do. So I think the biggest reason why there's a rift is a variety of reasons. Culture, it could be education, which I think is a big piece of it, or lack thereof. And that's what I love about the things that, what it is that you do and the conscious community, because by simply awakening to the concept of self, and what value it is that you bring to this, and having this awareness into this lifetime, that truly is the key.
Right.
To calibrating back on self, so you pull the veil back, get rid of the BS, if you will, of whatever environment that you're in, and then just be.
Right. And it's interesting because there's sort of the two kind of sides to things. Like you have people kind of on the very physical material side who like don't get sort of this energy component of success. And then on the other side, there are people who are very spiritual and very conscious, but who aren't really grounded and who don't get that, like, there is the very physical side to life that like it's okay to use these principles and these understandings to help you to have a more abundant life, isn't right? It is kind of funny, like you get it. It comes from both ends of the spectrum.
I totally agree. I think one of the key distinctions between whether or not someone who is spiritual and connected, and what separates them from the next person who is totally grounded and prosperous from a financial standpoint, is the lack of being grounded. One of my biggest challenges when I found my spiritual path was allowing myself to be back in my body.
Yeah.
For a while, I was like, oh, I'm blissfully happy, and it doesn't matter if I have money or not, and who cares if ramen's not good for my body? I'm blissful. I'm spiritual. I'm heart-based. And it wasn't until one of my energy coaches says, Wei, you need to ground. And as soon as you ground, because your physical body is still on this plane. I don't care how spiritual you are and how uplifted and aware you are, your physical body, as long as you're still moving around on this earth, is on this plane. And as such, it needs to be grounded for you to be of greatest service. And what happens is people allow themselves to be so ungrounded that they're no longer playing in the game that they're actually in.
Right.
So much like playing a board game, if you're not playing by the rules, you're not going to win. You might have a lot of fun, but you're not really going to prosper or be abundant or be really contributing to the value of what it takes to play a particular game.
Right.
I think what you touched on, saying, being grounded, that really is the key. I've worked with people who all we did was focus on getting them as grounded as possible. They're already spiritually evolved, aware, and all those great things, and we just focused on getting them grounded. And what happened was amazing. It's transformational. Is that they were clear, they were focused, they took all the beautiful awareness that they achieved and worked hard to gain, and was immediately able to convert that into products and services that helped so many more people than them just kind of vibrating in their own little space.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like one of my teachers says that, here, at least in the Western culture, we tend to be very much in our minds or in spirit. And that really most of the time when we work with people, it's about bringing them back into their heart and into their body. And that it's such an interesting dichotomy because, we're up in our head, which is fire, which, is analyzes and separates and records things, or up in spirit, which is like just air floating out there. But, coming back into the heart is what brings us together, and then bringing us back into our body, earth, which is really what's grounding us. That is what allows us to really have an impact here on this planet and in this world, and really be able to change things. Yeah, no, I mean, it's beautifully put, so eloquently put, because I hear people all the time complaining about how the world is and how people are so unawakened and unaware, and they're out in this fire and air space all the time. Yeah. And then when I simply ask the question, is, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do to change what you're complaining about? Right. And until they ground, it's almost difficult for them to even formulate an answer to that. Right. And those are all the different elements that you mentioned: the air, the fire, the water, the earth.
And those are elements that need to be working in synchronicity with your being to really, truly have that graceful and easy slipstream level of success.
Right. Wonderful. All right, I'll tell you what, why don't we go out for a break now, because when we come back, I want to talk about some of the things here. Like you talk about the trap of personal empowerment, and maybe we can even give our audience, some of the keys of how to release the money anxiety that you found through your own life.
Sure.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that would be great. So everybody, please stay tuned. You're listening to the Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity. My guest this hour is Wei Houng, and we will be right back.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
Hi, this is Rob Kay.
And I'm Callie Alpert.
Are you looking for a show where people talk about real stuff like life, love, the pursuit of being yourself?
Well, then you have come to the right place, because the Rob and Callie Show is doing just that. For the last 10 years, Rob and I have been having our own version of Sunday morning therapy sessions on the phone, and now we're bringing it to the radio.
So tune in and call in live Wednesdays 8 to 8:30 on talkradio.nyc.
And that's Eastern Standard Time, so join us.
Talking Alternative Radio, 24 hours a day.
Welcome back to the Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity. We're talking with Wei Houng all about prosperity, money anxiety, all kinds of interesting stuff. So, Wei, you've said yourself that you had your own forms of money anxiety for many years. What are some of the things people can do to release their anxiety over prosperity and abundance?
Yeah, one of the most important things is, like anything else, this is something that we learn as a child, that if it's something that's unpleasant, painful, or causes deep emotional trauma, so to speak, we tend to have the reptilian mind step in and say, fight or flight, run away, and avoid and just kind of not deal with it. We see it show up on little things like, I don't want to deal with this bill right now. I'm just going to put it aside, and then you forget about it. One of the first steps is what I like to call pulling the veil back, uncovering the money truth that you have in your life. There has been a shift in our evolutionary process from a spiritual standpoint, which is, transformation is the big buzzword right now, whereas before it was like breakthrough, before it was like reframe, and all these different little systems. And right now, transformation is key, and this is derived from one of my other coaches, my energy coaches. She's really super connected, and she talked about, transformation really is the big thing right now, and being able to connect everything that we want to do with energy. So you pull the veil back to embrace and resolve what the truth is behind the money in your life. So you ask yourself, what does money actually mean to you? Where did you first learn about money? You want to trace it back to where this all came about, because in doing so, it gives you an opportunity to rebuild a new relationship that you've been basically ignoring. So what you've been basically doing, if you have money anxiety, is you've broken rapport with yourself. With yourself that is having that conversation with money. And the first step really is to pull that veil back and really kind of spend the time to say, hey, just like in a relationship, hey, this is what's going on, tell me more, and let's talk about what we can do. Because if this doesn't serve us anymore, at least now we can embrace it, send it off with love, allow it to be purified by the universe again, so that it can serve a different purpose without being tainted by all these years of angst and trauma and negative.
Right. Do you have any like little exercises that people can do to kind of help reveal where their particular angst over money might be, you know, any kind of extreme things, or is it just from you kind of working with your clients and listening to their language that you can kind of tell what's going on?
It's a little bit of both, but there is a particular process. You know, I mean, first thing is, before you start to have any kind of conversation with yourself on any trauma in your life, and then this goes for money or anything else, the key is to first ground, like you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
To ground, do some breath work, and then you pull out your notepad, okay, and you literally write. You don't type, because typing just kind of takes away the energy behind physical activity.
Right.
What happens is this allows you to, you know, answer a few questions that I'll share here that will allow you to start opening the doors to having that relationship again with your money self, so that you can resolve those issues. So one of the questions that I always start with is, what does money mean to you? And really take the time to explore the definition of money as it pertains to your world, not how it's defined on Merriam-Webster or by anybody else, but how it's truly defined. You know, and then you ask yourself the question: what is your biggest fear around money? What is your biggest fear around money? And then, has money ever made you angry? And then you talk about that and talk about how it made you angry. Then we start digging a little bit deeper, and then we ask, how did your dad feel about money? How did your mother feel about money? What did money do to your household? How was money, you know, referenced in your household when you were growing up? And then defining, like, if you get money, you could check in and take inventory on your ongoing behavior, because everybody has a pattern that they run.
Right.
And why I encourage everybody to write this down with their hand in their book is because of it forces every part of your prosperity bodies to come in to play. Your energy body is required to move your physical body. The mental emotional piece is ignited by the questions that you're asking yourself. And doing this exercise is the first step to really putting you on the path of letting anxiety around money go.
Right. Because first you need to bring the awareness of where the anxiety is before you can release it.
Right. Absolutely right.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I've heard it said in the past that our relationship with our fathers, it kind of sets the tone for our relationship with money, business, finances, prosperity, and that our relationship with our moms kind of sets the tone for our relationship to relationships, whether personal, intimate, partners, husbands, wives, you know, that whole thing. So it's interesting that you brought up, like, you know, how did your mother feel about money? How's your father feel about money? So that kind of helps to open that up.
Yeah, and it's important to connect to both parents, should you know, assuming you grew up with both parents,
right?
Because, and I think the key thing to point out is that when we say father and we say mother, we're talking about father energy. We're talking about mother energy.
Right.
In the evolved world that we live in today, we sometimes have two fathers or two mothers.
Right.
That's completely okay. So what we want to calibrate on is the energy behind who that individual is. You know, is it that masculine father control energy, or is it the love and light energy of the mother side? And it's important to understand the dynamic of that, because ultimately what happens is this is either you grew up picking one side or another as your calibration on money, your relationship with money, or you created a blend which then draws from each energy to create your own version of money, which could be good or bad or neutral.
Right.
You know, I've met so many people who are just so flat about money that either way, it doesn't give them any kind of charge, which isn't an ideal place either, because then you don't have the energy behind it to really leverage it towards what it is you're here to do.
Interesting. Because lots of time people talk about sort of neutrality around things and like, oh, you shouldn't let money, quote unquote, control you. But although neutral, I believe, is a very strong place to be because it allows us not to be attached to things that if it were too neutral, then there's no, as you said, energy around it. There's no source for allowing the abundance to really grow and put it to amazing use.
Exactly. I mean, if you think of money as just another representation of energy, and in order for us to get that energy moving to another place, the energy needs to be applied to it. A neutral state assumes that you are just basically in same all the time. And as you know, which is what I loved about hearing in your quote earlier at the beginning of the show, is that, when we embrace that friction, we embrace that fire, right? Because the fire, all these elements come into play as an aspect of life and living. Friction, conflict, friction, it creates heat, which is that fire that we need. So with that harmonious relationship between all the elements, there needs to be that energy. There needs to be that fire, so to speak, so that we can accelerate in the right direction. Money is a facilitator. That energy is here to support. And if you work like as a teammate together, it's an accelerant. It literally can accelerate the level of prosperity, abundance, and the level of service that you can provide on this planet. I mean, I ask people all the time who are heart-centered that I appreciate the fact that you only need, $50,000 or $100,000 a year to live. But if I were to give you $10 million, what would you do with that money? Would you splurge on yourself? Probably not.
Right.
But you would probably do something amazing with it because of your heart-based personality, your consciousness, what you want to do and making an impact on this planet.
Right, because people sometimes forget that, like, the more resources we have at our disposal, the more good we can do with it. We can open up orphanages, we can build schools, we can feed, the hungry. There's all kinds of, service that we can provide to others with those resources. And sometimes people have a tendency to like, oh, look at all these rich people. They don't really, do enough to help, disadvantaged people and stuff. Well, it's like, well, if they're not doing it, why don't you, as you said before, why don't you do something about it? You become wealthy and set the example for them.
Yes. I mean, and I think that's the evolutionary shift for us heart-based individuals. The conscious awareness now is that, okay, well, I guess we're kind of stuck in this world for a little bit, and it's not going to change overnight to be like a Star Trek. Our method of exchange is knowledge, right? The utopian state. So we might as well make the biggest impact as possible. I was talking to an individual, and this is a conversation I had a while back, which is really interesting. And I think a lot of people, even some of my teachers, have had this similar type of conversations, which was, he was talking about and complaining about how greedy the rich people are and they don't do anything, and all this person cares about is money. And he was talking about another heart-based conscious individual.
Wow.
And this person was charging a good amount of money for his services. And this person was complaining about it. He says, if he really cared about making a difference and helping people, he would do it for free. And at that point, I had to stop him. I had to stop him. I said, okay, then who's making the money now then? Oh, these greedy people, and all they care about is making money. He says, then who do you think should be making the money? If you're saying the only people that are making money right now are the greedy people, then who then really should be making? What should the change be?
Right.
Right. He, at that point, he realized his conflict.
Good.
Which was causing his lack of abundance and prosperity.
Right, exactly. Just because somebody charges a lot of money for something, doesn't mean they don't deserve it, or doesn't mean that they, can't turn around and then do good with that. And you know, it's sometimes, you know, especially in the sort of the spiritual and healing arts, it's like, oh, people can't afford it, you know, how much can I charge them and stuff. But I've found that if you don't charge people, they don't even accept the gifts that they're receiving during the session or the class or whatever, and that it's like when we have to pay money for something, especially if it's a lot or even if it's not a lot, but it's just even when we don't have that much, what little bit we give, it gives so much more meaning to what we receive. Whereas if we have tons and tons and tons of money and it's like, oh, paying $100 is no big deal, we don't receive as much, do we?
No. And you're absolutely right with that. It's the energy behind that. I mean, if you're not putting energy into something that you're wanting to receive, it will not move into your vibration.
Right.
It will not have that. When we talk about neutrality, it's like a neutral state. It's like it becomes inert. And so even though you're kind of sort of getting some value out of it, you have no idea what you're missing by not putting the energy on your end to push more of the learnings and the teachings into your life and your world.
Right.
It's fascinating. I mean, hearing what people go through when they talk about
and that's the thing. It's when you listen to people's language, then you kind of can see a little bit of what their underlying issues are that are keeping them from achieving the things they want to achieve.
Yeah.
Well, believe it or not, it's time for us to take our last commercial break of the show. So everybody, please hold on. I do want to talk a little bit about what you call the trap of personal empowerment. And then let's talk about your upcoming book, right? You're working on a book, and we'll let people know how to get in touch with you, okay?
Sounds good.
Wonderful. So everybody, please stay tuned. You're listening to the Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, and we'll be right back.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
Are you into comics, movies, and pop culture at large? What about music and storytelling? Then you're in for a treat. This is Michael Dolce, your brand new radio host on talkradio.nyc. I've been professionally writing and drawing comic books, screenplays, and music articles for over 15 years. Catch my new show, Secrets of the Sire, Fridays at 11 a.m., and get the inside scoop on the pop culture universe you love to talk about. For more info, go to secretsofthesire.com right now.
TalkingAlternative.com.
And welcome back to the Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity. This hour we've been speaking with Wei Houng about money, anxiety, money consciousness, and the energy behind the abundance and prosperity we experience in our lives. So, Wei, I'm just wondering, like, if people have been listening to the show so far, I mean, we've been talking about a lot of kind of high concepts. Some people may be thinking, well, you know, this is all just personal development stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, that's where it all stems from.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many books out there that teach you about budgeting and how to do more sales and strategy. And the problem is, if you don't resolve what's going on the inner game side, on inside you, it doesn't matter what academic skills, books, reading, teachings that you receive from the outside coming in. It's kind of in line with what you're talking about, the law of attraction. It's like, if you're not congruently aligned inside with all the bodies and you're not grounded, whatever you attract is going to come, but it's going to bounce right off because there is no path for that energy to come in.
Right.
So it has to start with you. It has to start with getting your body in tune, your mind, your emotional, your energetic bodies in tune. before you can truly open up the faucets, the financial faucets, to allow prosperity to come in. Because prosperity will show up. It just won't stick around and wait for you to get your stuff together.
Exactly. It's like the money will come, then all of a sudden this unexpected bill will come, or you'll invest in something and that investment will go bust, or something will happen, and just as quickly as it came, it'll be gone.
Exactly. It has nothing to do with how smart you are, and this is something that was a rude awakening for me. I thought if I just became smarter, I'd get better. No. It has to do with whether or not you are actually in alignment.
Right.
Your personal development is in check. If you're constantly investing in yourself and that's all you do, your business will thrive.
Right. Absolutely. Right. So you're working on a book, or have you just finished your book? I forget. Where are you at?
There are 3 different books that are coming out this year.
Oh, wow.
There are 2 anthology models that are, I co-author with a few other people, and there's one book. And there might even be a 4th. I'm still kind of chewing on that one. But the one that's out already is called Breakthrough Results. I'm in chapter 4 of that one.
Okay.
And that talks about the concept of breakthrough. The one that's coming out next has to do completely with money anxiety, my path, my journey, as well as some of the worksheets and the techniques that I touched on earlier in the show. And it's called Healing Your Money Anxiety, Unlock Your Six-Figure Potential.
Okay.
At least that's the working title right now. It may shift, it might reverse or anything, but that's really the essence of it.
Okay. All right, good. And that one you think will come out about when?
In the next month or 2.
Oh,
it's
okay.
coming up definitely before summer. All these books are coming out before summer.
Oh, okay. Wonderful. And if people want to, find out when they're out and learn more about you, where can they go to find out more information on you?
Yeah. So thank you for asking. My background actually is engineering, computer science engineering, so we're heavy in the social media space. From a technology standpoint, we're totally connected. So Facebook, thank you for being my friend, by the way.
Of course. Definitely someone who's very in alignment with my own values. So.
Yeah, I love it. And Facebook is definitely, we're very active there. The Six Figure Academy, or you can connect with me directly on Facebook. Our website is the Six Figure Academy. That's the number 6figureacademy.com. And subscribing to our newsletter is a great way to do it as well. So there's so many different ways. And for those who want to really kind of have a more structured approach on tackling that money anxiety, I do have a landing page, which is http://go.the Six Figure Academy, again, the number 6figureacademy.com. And there you can actually get a free gift from me, which is a free download. It's an ebook, or a mini book rather, that really kind of goes into the 3 steps on getting you on the path of letting go of that money anxiety, so you can start mastering a 6-figure lifestyle.
Wonderful. And you have a whole sort of coaching business, right, that supports you, and you probably work with people around the world, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I've spoken to people in Japan, Australia, East Coast. Actually, I haven't touched Europe yet, which is surprising, because I would love to actually, work on some people in the UK, work with some people in the UK. But yeah, we have programs and coaching programs. We're launching a whole variety of virtual programs this year, and I'm really excited about what's coming forth. We have a program called the Prosperity Breakthrough Program, which is a 6-week program that's coming out, I think, end of March. And then we have a whole membership community, which is geared towards helping conscious-based entrepreneurs really having a support community to continuously stay on track on achieving the results that they want and making the biggest impact they can make.
Wonderful. And I cannot emphasize enough of how important community is, regardless of what you're trying to do, whether it's, around abundance or around spirituality, that without having like-minded people around with which to share, where you're at, your challenges, your breakthroughs, it's so important having a good community around you.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
Wonderful. So Wei, what are your big challenges these days? I mean, you've come pretty far, I think, from where you've started. You seem to be doing amazingly well. You're coming out with new books. What are your big challenges now?
That's a great question, because just the other day I sat there in my office and I was telling one of my clients, and then I consequently talking to one of my business partners in another company I'm involved with. I said, you know what? I really have nothing to complain about except first world problems. Really don't. And I think the biggest challenge right now I'm dealing with is, creating the systems around so that I can scale and be able to reach even more people. And I wouldn't see it as a challenge, because it's almost like a welcome challenge. It's that friction, that positive friction that we're creating, which is necessary for growth and living. Life needs friction to be created, and so I think that's one of the key challenges I'm having right now is, how do I get the systems to be even better? How do I create the system to handle some of the other things that I'm doing in my business so that I can scale and bring in more people into the team, and so that we can expand to a worldwide type of presence versus just a local or national presence.
Wonderful. Well, fantastic. Congratulations with all of that. And
Thank
I'm really excited and looking forward to your book coming out. So any last words of advice for somebody like listening to this and just getting started, who, doesn't really, not quite sure where to start? What would you tell someone where to start to figure out their issues around prosperity and abundance?
I think the best place to start is to create a daily ritual to handle your energy body first and foremost. It has to start with your energy.
Yeah.
Then I think one of the first places to begin is to check in with yourself is, how is your physical body reflecting the energy of where you want to go? Again, like you were saying in the quote, which is so, like I said, so apropos, is if your vessel isn't ready to handle the prosperity that you truly want, no amount of law of attraction will get into your body. You'll attract it. Like I said earlier, it'll just bounce right off if your body is not ready.
Right.
And so your energy body and your physical body should be the main focus right from the get-go. Because when you feel good, I mean, you know how it is, right? When you feel good, you just think better, you function better, you make better decisions, and you're happier.
Right.
That's the key thing. The prosperity universe, they're not attracted to poopy energy. They're attracted to positive, fun, happy, joyful energy.
Right,
and it will come, and it's like a weird thing that if you just work on that, just that alone, and staying grounded, that'll make huge impact on your prosperity and abundance on so many levels.
Right. Exactly. I mean, if you just think about what attracts you, what kinds of people, what kinds of energy do these people have that attracts you, then well, look, if that's what attracts you, what makes you think that's not what attracts everybody else? So, it's like, let's be, let's be those things that attract us, and that will allow us to attract others.
Yeah.
Well, Wei, it's been such a pleasure having you on the show. It's great finding such like-minded people who, believe in bringing this world of energy into the world of business, and how it really helps us to have such a better, more joyful, more fulfilled life. I really appreciate the work you do, and I really appreciate you taking time out to come on the show today.
No, thank you so much for having me. It was such an honor to be here, and especially, like I said, Leap Day and Monday.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. I appreciate the connection.
You're welcome. And so just one last reminder to our audience. This is our last Monday live broadcast. Starting next week, March 10th, the Conscious Consultant Hour moves to Thursdays at 12 noon. I hope you will tune in with us then. Thank you for listening, and we will talk to you next week.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
Are you into comics, movies, and pop culture at large? What about music and storytelling? Then you're in for a treat. This is Michael Dolce, your brand new radio host on talkradio.nyc. I've been professionally writing and drawing comic books, screenplays, and music articles for over 15 years. Catch my new show, Secrets of the Sire, Fridays at 11 a.m., and get the inside scoop on the pop culture universe you love to talk about. For more info, go to secretsofthesire.com right now.
Hey, all you crazy listeners. Looking to boost your business? Why not advertise on Talking Alternative with very reasonable rates? Interested? Simply email at info@talkingalternative.com.
Hello, I'm JC.
I'm Joan, and welcome to 21st Century Entrepreneur.
We bring education,
Insight,
knowledge,
awareness,
trouble,
craziness, and fun
for you, the entrepreneur who's looking to build your business
and your community. Listen every Friday from noon to 1 Eastern on talkradio.nyc. And you can tweet us at 21st CE Radio or Talk Alternative.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network at www.talkingalternative.com. Now, broadcasting 24 hours a day. Talking Alternative.
Are you on a path of consciousness or spirit? Is personal or spiritual empowerment important to you? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and I am here to answer your questions and bring you experts in all areas of life to raise your awareness and support you in your evolution. Tune in at my new time, Mondays at 1 p.m. Eastern on www.talkradio.nyc. That's Mondays at 1 p.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.